about to meet a strange people in a strange enemy country.
Rachel.
Hello, Lewis.
I think it was just making sure that her point of view was very clear. I think, you know, she is not a saint, and there are parts of this character that are maybe unlikable, but I think my job was to make her actions understandable. And I really enjoyed that, partly because as soon as I read the script, although, you know, I'm very fortunate, I've never been through what this woman has been through, I completely empathised with her. I absolutely understood why she behaved in the way that she did. And I was sort of fascinated by that. So I suppose the challenge is always really doing that. But what I loved about this script is that none of these characters are simple, and it's important to see the world from each of their different points of view. And so I think for all of us, that's sort of what we were trying to do, just be very clear in how we were thinking and how we were feeling as we went forward into the story.
You didn't tell me what I was walking into. This isn't how it was supposed to be.
None of this is how it is supposed to be.
Please don't go.
I have a job to do.
For me, because, you know, I've done a number of World War II films, I've certainly seen many World War II films. It's an era I'm very interested in, so I've read a number of books, you know, about World War II. I didn't know anything about this particular part, that direct aftermath of the conflict. And I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know that the English had occupied parts of Germany. And suddenly thinking about that, and actually thinking about how on earth do you rebuild nations and an entire continent after something that must have seemed kind of post-apocalyptic. And the strength of that generation, almost actually the triumph of that generation, is that what they managed to do is build peace in a continent for the last 70 years. That's an extraordinary thing. And I don't think that I'd thought of it. And so I think that's sort of why I really liked this story, was it suddenly really made me think, why don't we teach that at school? Surely that's actually a really important bit to teach. How after something as catastrophic as this do you build those bridges to actually create something in Europe that has been the longest peace that we've ever known? I mean, I really love France. What do I love in France? My single thing that I love the most is that you totally believe in the right to sit on your own and eat a meal. Like if you're in Paris, or actually if you're anywhere, you always have tables for one set up in the window. It's almost, I've never been anywhere else in the world that does that. Because as somebody who travels alone an awful lot, you always feel kind of like you go into a restaurant and you think, oh, I can't sit down alone with my book. In France, you know that you have a right to people watch, because you're always at the window and that table for one, and you always have a right to sit there as long as you want and have a meal. That's being civilized. Well done. Karl Lagerfeld was a legend. I think that's all I've got to say, really. It's a great tragedy. He was a mythic genius and a wonderful, wonderful man, and will be sorely missed.